Hey guys, this is James.
And this is Denny from TeaDB, and episode 63.
Yep.
So
what do we have today?
This is one of my favorite daily drinkers. This is a black tea from Yunnan, specifically from the Aolau Mountain, which is, I think it's like the 15th highest mountain in the Yunnan province. So it's considered a high mountain black tea. And, you know, I don't know how much that influences things as opposed to the terroir, but this is really tasty, and I've been drinking it for a while because I have way too much of it.
Yep.
But that's not why I would gift it out if I didn't like it. It's really, really good. Not that I ever gift out tea that I'm not the biggest fan of. Anyway, so
where did you get this tea from?
I got this tea from Yunnan Sourcing.
Okay.
And we have a 100 milliliter Gaiwan here, and I'm going to use about 3 grams of tea leaf. And you could even experiment with a little less, frankly.
So it's pretty potent.
Some people, I like to avoid the astringency in black tea if I can.
Okay.
And so, some black teas are going to just be astringent no matter what you do and how little you use, as long as you're getting a decent brew out of it. But for me personally, I like to keep it on the lighter end of things. And it's a super hot day here in Seattle.
Ooh, I can smell that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Take a sniff.
get in there. So this is, I love this tea also because it is just, it's sweet. It's so much the strength of black tea, but it's very mellow. It doesn't get me too crazed at all, too energized or anything like that. And yeah, I just find it to be super tasty, and people that I introduce this to like it a lot. So.
Yeah, it's releasing right now like a very strong aroma that I could smell from way back here as soon as Denny poured that water on. So very, very aromatic, which is kind of like the style of Chinese black teas these days. And one of the challenges with navigating through a place like Yunnan Sourcing, and why we're doing these next couple episodes, is there's just so much tea. So it's hard to just figure out to just compose an order. And of course, you don't want to order just 2 teas when you're ordering from Yunnan Sourcing, because that just doesn't make any sense if you're paying a significant shipping cost anyways. So these next couple are going to be a couple recommendations from Denny. That Denny has personally bought, so we're putting our mouth where our wallet has been in such a case.
Definitely.
And,
yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. There are plenty of places that are far more of a curated inventory, and sourcing is absolutely not that. You can get anything and everything you want. Some stuff can be pretty bad. A lot of stuff can be pretty great. And yeah, I think this is one of those. So let's give it a try.
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Cheers. This is our first steeping, so it's still a little bit light.
So usually these teas kind of like open up as we steep it out, I'm guessing?
Definitely. Yeah, this is going to be the lightest brewing. Steepings, probably 2 to 4, 2, 3, and 4 are going to be really robust and full. But this one has all the characteristics of the taste in it still, just kind of a lighter mouthfeel, a little bit lighter texture.
Yeah, I would say that it has an interesting texture, and kind of like you were describing, kind of like I was expecting, it has a strong sweetness to its character.
Absolutely. Sweet, little bit smoky, nothing overwhelming though.
Yeah, not in a bad way at all.
Just really, this is kind of lovely sweet, a little bit of fruit, and just a wonderful aftertaste.
Yeah, it has that kind of like nice sweet aftertaste.
And I am very warm right now, so I'm sure that I'm going to be dripping after this. But
yeah, you guys at California or in like Southeast Asia, you guys can laugh at us because this is like one of our hottest days of the year, meaning it's going to get to the high 80s, which is laughable for some of you guys, but we are hot. So
Yeah, and we don't ever get hot enough to justify having air conditioning, and Seattle's not humid, but it's definitely not humid like the East Coast or things like that. So I actually did steep this out a little bit longer.
Yeah. So the color is just much more vivid. It's really pretty orange right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the first one was kind of like 10 seconds. This one was 15. Now, you would expect that to be a linear kind of growth in terms of the intensity of the flavor, but the Guy one is heated up. We've steeped it for longer, and on top of that, the leaves have sort of softened a little bit. So this should taste significantly more potent as a result of that.
And even then, I'm still tasting that aftertaste right now. If anything, it's really, really just kind of built up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. So, cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, this is much, much fuller. And a lot of the same taste from the previous one, a stronger fruit taste, even a little bit of bitter, not bitter, raw cacao. But yeah, very, very, very flavorful. And super aromatic. I'm going to actually take a sniff at these
definitely.
leaves.
Yeah, absolutely. This is just fragrant, sweet.
Fragrant.
And quite lovely, yeah. You kind of find something, you think, oh my gosh, this is super great, and then you buy way too much of it because it's Yunnan sourcing.
Yeah, and how much would this tea cost? Because, Yunnan sourcing is very good about their prices.
$5 an ounce?
If that, yeah.
Yeah, maybe less. Really, really affordable.
But if you buy as much as Denny did, it's much less than $5 an ounce, I'll tell you that much.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Maybe a little bit of like passion fruit sort of. This is going to sound like a aberration, but almost kind of like a starbursty sweetness at the very end. In that it's very noticeable. Yeah. Not necessarily the exact same taste or flavor or anything, but.
And this was just very. I would say the difference between the second and the first is that it's just much, much more rich, and there's hardly any bitterness in that. Even though I expected that we might get a little bit, just because Denny did double that steep time, but really, really hardly any at all.
Yeah, and part of that is going to be not using too much leaf. Part of that's going to be not using the hottest water you possibly could. And, the oxidation of black tea is going to dramatically influence the bitterness. So you're not going to get the astringency of, that you could with, let's say, like a roasted oolong that's heavily roasted. It's kind of hard to tease out bitterness out of those kind of teas. With this, if you just you had the whole guy one full of black tea and poured on boiling water, it would taste terrible. So keep that in mind. This is a more sensitive tea. You might want to pay a little bit more attention to how you're brewing it and give it a little bit more focus. It doesn't need to be outrageous. Again, this is a budget tea, I would say, but nevertheless, I think when you're brewing something like this, give a little more focus.
Yeah. And when do you drink this tea typically?
I like it in the kind of the in-between months. So, spring and fall for me. Seasons. We don't really have a true winter here in Seattle at all, actually. So it's kind of like summer and then the rest of the year. But that's traditionally when I do drink it, and it just seems to fit the best there. But this is a tea that I love to introduce people that don't drink a lot of tea with. Because it has a sweetness, it has a richness, it has that sort of chocolatey black tea characteristic taste. Yeah. It's really accessible.
Yeah, a very, very friendly taste, I would say.
Absolutely, yeah. Great characterization.
Yeah.
And what are you thinking about this last steeping here?
I'd say it's a little bit, it's not quite as flavorful as that second steeping, but it still has kind of like that same base profile that we had been discussing. Still very good.
Yeah, I love the mouthfeel on this too, actually. It's not super viscous, but it's got a nice weight to it.
Yep.
Really nice.
And because Denny used a little bit less leaf, we're not getting like a super thick taste with a ton of body. But that's to be expected. If you use 3 grams per 100 milliliters, you're going to get kind of like that really just light texture coming out.
Definitely. Well, if folks wanted to learn more about teas, black teas, budget teas, teas from the Yunnan.
Yeah, you guys should check us out at TeaDB.org. We've been doing a lot of content on the other Yunnan tea, of course, pu'er. And please also check out Yunnan Sourcing. They have a lot of great black teas as well as pu'er teas and just a lot of teas in general.
Very true.
Yeah.
If you guys like this episode, please subscribe there.
Yeah, one of those sides.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys.
Cheers.